Hello there, my name is Sixo. But more on that later, as now it's time for a brand new unboxing video. And as ever, you'll find a link to TF Source's listing for today's toy in the video description, just in case it takes your fancy. And we are, of course, taking a look at one of the most lovable lads in Transformers history. Here is Earthrise Hoist. Right, here's Hoist in his box, and very typical Earthrise packaging. Yet again, there you go, toy, character artwork just on the side, promo shots on the back. So yeah, I've been kind of looking forward to this one actually, because the Trailbreaker mold, which I've also done a review of, is excellent. Really like that one. And you know, again, a bit like Trailbreaker, I don't feel like any kind of masterpiece version of Hoist has thus far, 100% nailed it anyway. And whilst that's not me attempting to bang on about masterpiece in a Generations review yet again, I'm just mentioning it really because actually I did feel like the Trailbreaker design was one of the better takes on that toy, on that character rather, that we'd seen. So I'm hoping for the same with Hoist. Right, and here's everything you get in the box. You've got Hoist in robot mode, and you've got his little gun as well. And may I say, he's looking pretty lovely indeed. Now, the first thing to note is that head sculpt, because I really do think it's terrific. Similar to Earthrise Trailbreaker, really, in that I do feel that this is probably the nicest I've seen Hoist represented in terms of the head sculpt. In toy form, certainly the cartoony look anyway. I'm not talking about the G1 toy or anything like that. I'm just talking about, purely representing the original Hoist animation model in 3D form. And I think they've absolutely nailed it. It's probably a darker grey than I would have imagined, but I really like those little stripes just there on the mouth plate, and the blue eyes look terrific as well. Just all round marvellous. Of course, he's got all his bump behind his head as well, including this piece, which is of course borrowed from Trailbreaker, but looks quite different in white. And then he's got his little, I don't know what you call them, his little wings, I suppose, just there as well. It all looks really good. Chest is an interesting one, as believe it or not, I'm recording this on the 1st of December, and here you can see it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It can't just be me, right? That's a definite Christmas theme on there. I mean, it looks like some kind of advent calendar or something like that. Definitely looks like he's got snow sitting on his bonnet or whatever, I don't know. Very weird choice, I think, personally, with the kind of frosted or worn paint. I'm sure it's meant to look warm, but to me it just looks frosted, what can I say? Bit of a snowy scene, but yeah, very funny. It all looks to be nicely applied though, including this little stripe just down the side. I think that looks great. And here's a closer look at his back, which of course is the main source of all the newly molded bits on this one versus Trailbreaker. And really love it. Love how it looks. Very reminiscent of the G1 toy and the character in general. Think, it's not too overdone as well, so that's really cool. And then of course you've got more of those kind of emergency stripes and stuff there. It's a win. Legs and arms and all of the detailing, molded detail, looks exactly as you would expect. I mean, very on point, but it's a straight up repaint of Trailbreaker in that respect. So I do like the colour choices that they picked here as well. I think that green is great, kind of nice, sort of a pea green, I don't know, forest green maybe? I don't know, you tell me. But like the orange as well, it all looks really good. And just like Trailbreaker, the articulation is the same, so the head can move very freely side to side, up a little bit, down a little bit too, that's all good. Shoulders are a bit of a weird one because this whole kind of wing section behind it goes with it. So when you move them up, I mean, they can go all the way around, but that does go with it as well. So, which I do find a little bit strange. I kind of, if anything, might have liked the option to just be able to move the shoulders separately, but it's fine. The shoulders do move out to the side separately. And then of course you've got elbow bend, which goes way past 90 degrees. That's really good. And he does have wrist swivel as well. Which I quite like because they're on these kind of mushroom pegs. I did cover this off in my Trailbreaker review, but what I do think is quite strange is that there's no way to kind of, I don't know, just when you position the arm out to the side like that, this whole kind of wing piece just has to kind of sit forward, and that does feel slightly strange to me. So if you want to have him like holding his gun at certain angles, you're going to have this piece here just kind of pointing forward and doing, well, nothing really. It's just a bit odd. Coming down to the lower half, of course, he's got a nice waist swivel. Did I say waist before or wrist when I did the hands? I hope I said wrist. Pretty sure I did, but maybe I got it wrong. But this is waist swivel. There we go. And indeed, of course, you've got the old, hips that move up like that. So that's pretty good. Actually, this is a little bit more forgiving than Trailbreaker. I don't know if it's just kind of a slight, difference in how the So the top section there is done. Also slightly different is that the bend at the knee is a bit more forgiving as well, which is really, really nice. I mentioned on Trailbreaker that this section, which of course is red on Trailbreaker, tends to kind of stay at the top, sits with the top part, the thigh, and actually, you kind of, if anything, have to put your thumb on it in order to bend it in the correct place in the knee, because this bit does bend for transformation. But here, actually, the natural thing is that it bends above the knee, which is exactly what you would want. So, and it's the same on both sides, as you can see. So that, for me, is better. And then, of course, he's got ankle tilt as well, which, all means that actually he's pretty articulated. And again, I said the same thing of Trailbreaker. I do think that, both of these toys, based off the same mold, it's really nice articulation. And actually, for my part, I feel like these are some of the superior Generations toys that I've taken a look at so far. Some of you will know it's a relatively new endeavor for me. Not that I'm not familiar with a lot of Generations molds. I have seen them, I just don't own them. But these guys, I think, are proving to be some of the best that I've reviewed recently, let's say that. And dare I say it, I would just love to see Hoist done as well as this, in Masterpiece style as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm loving this version. But I just always feel like all of the various, like third-party Masterpiece versions that we've seen, they just don't do it as well, frankly. Do you know what I mean? I have got the new version of the X-Transbots one on the way to review, so fingers crossed for that. We'll check it out. But yeah, this guy, for my money anyway, blows them all out of the water in terms of what a great job it does at just capturing the character. It's really good. Now, of course, I gave similar accolades to Trailbreaker when I did that review, and I stand by it, because I do think that although these two are, well, obviously it's the same mold, I just think they both managed to represent the two characters exceptionally well. And it's nice the differences that they've included here as well, because although, yeah, they are the same, I don't know, just the deco, everything, it manages to feel unique enough. There's enough between them that, in my book anyway, it's good to own them both. That's just my opinion. Some people may disagree and they may think you only need one. I don't know, but they do feel distinct from one another. That's what I'd say. A nice compliment. And obviously the main differences are in the backpack, so you'll see that more in the vehicle mode. We'll take a look at that in a bit. But yeah, they're both good. What can I say? And then here he is with a couple of the other current Earthrise toys, Earthrise Autobots. You've got Optimus Prime, the dead version anyway, and Sunstreaker. And yeah, I think he fits in pretty well. Obviously, he kind of fills in that height in between these two that, for me, it works. And of course, here he is with a couple of other versions of the same character. You've got, well, this is the current Masterpiece-ish version in my collection. This is actually third party. It's Bad Cube's Lorry, and weird toy, man. It looks nice. Do you know what I mean? Like I do like some of it. But yeah, the legs are really strange, needless to say. And as I already mentioned, I have the new X-Transbots version on the way, and I kind of get the feeling that I might be swapping that out pretty soon, but we'll see. That's a video for another time. And then, of course, over here, we've got the lovely G1 toy. Minus his stickers. He's not stickered up yet, my copy, but still, I have a lot of stickering to do at the moment. But I absolutely love this toy. I had him as a kid. He's an old favourite. Just think he's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Really, really love him. And there you can see all three versions together. I don't think it's fair to say that the Earthrise toy does do a nice job at, as I say, not only bringing the character to life from the animation model, but also some decent callbacks to the original toy as well. And speaking of G1 toys, here he is again with Earthrise Trailbreaker and his G1 toy equivalent, who I can't believe I forgot to include in the Trailbreaker review. But hey, I'm making up for it now. Don't get at me. And I do think that all four of these toys are great, and I do think that, again, that the Earthrise guys do a fantastic job at bringing those designs up to date. Incidentally, Trailbreaker here, also without stickers, but that's a job for another time. Lots to do. Anyway, fantastic job on that robot mode. Let's check him out in vehicle mode. that's transformation done, and yeah, basically the same as Trailbreaker, of course, but you know, a couple of differences along the way, particularly in this back section, and yeah, I think it looks really good as well, I have to say. I think they've done a really nice job with it. Love the car mode. I mean, I'm a big fan of this mold anyway, as I've already kind of indicated, but actually this, if anything, it feels quite different. Still a big fan of that silver grille on the front there. Those headlights look really, really nice. The snowy pattern will never not look slightly ridiculous to me, but that aside, this thing's all win. Honestly, the colour choices, everything, it looks superb. Still a bit of a shame that they go for these clips on the wheels, as I do think that those look slightly, well, a bit unsightly, let's say, particularly in comparison to the front one. It'd be nice if they were maybe pinned on or whatever else, but it's fine, honestly, it's not too bad. Bit of kibble, obviously, on the underneath. You can see his hands just there, and some of his arms, and just the orange hips. I think, if anything, it's probably slightly more obvious than on Trailbreaker, just really with Trailbreaker, just by merit of his colour scheme. It just, you know, being black and then the body being black, it just kind of hides away a little bit better. But still, honestly, it's really not a major problem here. Paint applications aren't bad on the whole. I will say that these little rear tail lights do look a little bit sloppy, actually, on my copy. That's not the best applied. They just kind of stop in the middle of the moulding. And even then, it's not really a very crisp line, but hey-ho. Stylistically, it's kind of a weird choice, I guess, to go for black windows on the sides and then obviously a translucent blue windscreen. I get that those side windows obviously have to be painted because of the transformation, and that's not a problem at all, but it just looks a little bit weird that they're maybe not blue to match up with the front. It is something, it's exactly the same as they did on Trailbreaker, of course, but I guess, again, you know, Trailbreaker, by merit of being black all over, it wasn't so obvious, whereas here, to my eye, that sticks out just a little bit. Do wish that he rolled a little better. You know, these wheels, these back ones, the way that they're kind of pegged on, just means that, I don't know, it just doesn't roll. I mean, all the wheels go, do you know what I mean? That's not necessarily an issue. Although actually, I say that, even as I'm rolling him now, having to kind of press a little bit to get all four of them moving at the same time. I don't know, I guess it's not the end of the world, but it would just be nice if he rolled a bit better. Anyway, nitpicks aside, gotta love that back section, because I think it looks really, really good on the whole. Nice orange plastic that they've used as well, very saturated, so that's really good. And yeah, lots of kind of detailing and whatever else on this thing. And actually even a little wheel underneath so it can roll. This bit does feel a little bit kind of loose. It doesn't really kind of, I don't know, hold very securely, but it is quite nice. I do like the wheel. I think that's a nice inclusion. This thing, incidentally, will attach to stuff like Ironworks and some of the other MicroMaster bases. I don't have one to hand to show you, but believe me, it does happen. So that's a little bit of cross-functionality play value for you as well. And should you prefer, then of course you can just go ahead and fold it back up into the main body of the vehicle itself, like so, and then fold his little things, I don't know what you call them, little things back there, and his little wings. This one, actually, I should have mentioned it earlier, but this one feels just a little bit wobbly to my eye. You know, just there, it doesn't feel the most secure. That one is way better, much more stiff and in place, but that one, yeah, it's just what kind of wobbles around a little bit, so that's slightly unfortunate. But you know, on the whole, that whole mechanism, it looks good. Of course, you can also add his gun onto the side, just there, for a bit of an armoured up truck mode. And speaking of weapon storage, here he is with Earthrise Trailbreaker in their vehicle modes. And funny thing, I posted over the weekend on Twitter, in case you don't follow me, that actually my son, who loves this thing, by the way, Trailbreaker, absolutely loves it. And getting, you know, I'll come back to my story in a minute, but just to sort of say, I think in many ways that's the kind of biggest indictment of these toys, isn't it? If you can get a little one to kind of play with them and think that it's, you know, it's really, really good, that's the kind of ultimate judgment in many ways. Like when you do video reviews and stuff like this, it's easy to forget sometimes that actually these are toys for children. And, you know, he enjoys it. So for me, that's a big success. But anyway, he was messing around with it and discovered that actually you can place Trailbreaker's little weapon here, which is supposed to go on his roof, but it actually sits completely perfectly and very flush on the underside of his vehicle mode, just in between his arms there, and it kind of gives you this kind of cool little weapon at the front of his car as well. It looks a bit funny, but still, I was just blown away that he just randomly discovered it and was asking me if it's like a, you know, an official thing as such. But It's not. And you can sort of do it with Hoist. I haven't done it here, but it doesn't fit as well. Sadly, his gun is slightly too chunky. I'm sure you can kind of jimmy it and make it happen. But anyway, here are the two of them in vehicle mode together. And as I said with the robot modes, I think, you know, they complement each other really, really well. I think if you were going to go in on one version of this or the other, and just the one, I don't know, pick your colour really, I guess. I'm sure you've already got in mind which that might be. For my money, they're both really nice. They both do different things very, very well. I really love the stripes and what have you on the side of Trailbreaker. I really love the emergency detailing on the side of Hoist. I keep saying emergency detailing. I feel like maybe someone's going to tell me that it's not actually emergency detailing and it's kind of like a specific, I don't know, pickup truck thing or just hazard or what. Hazard, that's probably what it is, right? It's hazard. It's hazard detailing. There you go. Not really emergency, but hey. But yeah, you know, they both do all of those different things really well. I do like all the sort of extra functionality that you get with Hoist on there. Ultimately, they're both nice, what can I say? And here they both are with their G1 toy equivalents, and yeah, again, just a lot of fun to see, realistically. So one thing I will say is that, of course, the G1 toys are really nice for having a lot of die cast in the bonnets, which, to my money, even as a kid, I remember thinking, that's really cool. And of course, they got the nice shiny chrome, which these guys don't have. So there are stylistically some differences that, I don't know, even now do kind of make the G1 toys feel a little bit special, but these guys definitely have the pick up and play value to them. So in that regard, you know, big success. So yeah, all told, I really like this vehicle mode. And indeed, you know what? It's a great toy, all things considered. I do really wish that little wing was just a bit tighter on there. That's probably the major downside of this copy, I think, to my eye. That's the one sort of area where I'm like, bit of a bummer. But that aside, it presents really nicely. It's, you know, it's a really solid, well-made toy on the whole. It looks great. The deco's cool. It's a great representation of the character. I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything other than this being a toot. So that's Earthrise Hoist. Now, as ever, you'll find a link to TF Source's listing for this guy in the video description, and I'll be able to get the full photo review up on their blog soon. Otherwise, that's it from me, so don't forget to drop me a like if you enjoyed today's video, and have a great rest of your day. TTFN.